So it's John Mandeville here from the Collab 365 Academy. We had a really interesting question actually from Jennifer on the Academy around Power Automate Desktop. And I thought in response to it, Jennifer's having some challenges where the Power Automate Desktop recording Excel actions and copying and pasting into emails is a little bit flaky. So I'm going to give you probably 4 tips. That's 4 in my fingers as to things that might help in Power Automate for desktop. So if I pull up Power Automate Desktop over here, latest version, I've got a flow here which converts a Word document to PDF. And the first principle that I just wanted to share is Jennifer was actually using the record and clicking around and selecting applications using the mouse clicks on the taskbar, or you could equally do it on the desktop. My personal preference and advice would be to interact with the program directly. So you're using this run application action. So if you just type into here, run, you'll find it here. There are various aspects you can configure. So you'll see here, I'm running the WinWord executable. So in your case, if you're using Excel, you'd want to be using the Excel executable, and you can find out what that's called, and the location on your desktop. What I'm also doing is I've given it a command line argument to go to a specific document. Again, that really helps because every single time Power Automate Desktop opens and runs its action, it's going to go to the right location, find that same document, and there'll be no accidental fails because your document is in a different place. Now, that may not be possible for you, but it also may be possible. So the other thing that I've done here is wait for the application to load. Now, I've also safeguarded with my second tip. You'll see here, use the wait action. You'll find it under flow control. I tend to wait when I'm opening up an application 10 to 15 seconds because depending on your desktop, those things can take time. The same is true loading a file or loading a tab. Just put a pause in because then the next action is not going to lose focus. And that may be something that happens if you don't put waits in. You'll open an app, you'll expect it to go to a tab, and you'll lose focus. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to swap over flows now to this one where I'm scraping some information from Excel. And again, you can see here, I've actually launched Excel. So there is a specific action for Excel. So if you're not using the run application, use launch Excel. And that will, again, accept some variables, some input variables. I'm not entirely sure what it seems to be. Okay, so I've got some files. I've set a variable for each of those items in that folder. I've launched Excel with the current item here. So again, I've used the actions of launching rather than the clicking on the desktop. But the thing I want to show you is when I'm interacting, there's a whole bunch of Excel actions. So I can read from Excel. So let's just show you what you can do with Excel. It's quite a few more than there used to be. Excuse me, take that off. So I can use all of these actions here to copy cells, to paste cells, to delete them. And if you're taking data from Excel, I would strongly recommend using these actions versus selecting a tab and clicking on the items that you want and relying on the recorder figuring it out for you. These actions tend to be a lot more robust. What you can also do, and I'd recommend, is if there are any navigation keys that you can use in an application, instead of pointing and clicking with a mouse, I'll just try and demonstrate this for you, actually. Instead of trying to point and click with a mouse, so trying to record, let's say, clicking the Insert tab or clicking Home and then clicking on a box, try and get the keystrokes. So if I, here, for example, if I just press the Alt key, I get these keystroke indicators so I can get to different locations. So rather than going and clicking on Insert, I'm going to capture the keystrokes, Alt and Q. That didn't work, of course, I pressed the wrong one. Let's just get them back up. Alt and N. Okay, so now again, I've got the different keystrokes that I can use to get where I want to. So if I now want to, for example, let's just pick one. Let's just click Alt-T to get table. So I'm using keystrokes to do the things that I want versus using the mouse. It's a much more robust and reliable method of capturing screen inputs than clicking around in the mouse. So what's that? That's tip number 3. Tip number 4, I'll just show you in the same flow, would be whenever you launch something and interact with it. So let's say Excel for the sake of argument here. When you've finished with it, so here you can see as I go through, I read from the worksheet, setting some variables to capture my data, I then close Excel. So try and get the program out of memory before you do something else. So here I then go and get some data from Word fields. And again, at the end of that, let's just double check. I terminate the process in this case for Word because it doesn't have a whole bunch of actions that I can use. No, it doesn't. Whereas Excel does, so you can interact with it directly. So if you open an application, close it. If it's Excel, you can use the open and close actions. If it's another application, just make sure when you open it, you'll get a process ID, close it with a process ID. With those 4 tips, I'm very hopeful that you'll find a much more robust experience. So good luck.